Hello, Talking Fight fans around the world. Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of Neil the Deal featuring Neil the Deal himself. He's live in the studio, and tonight, continuing that thread of great Filipino fighters, he's going to focus tonight's episode squarely on Manny Pacquiao. I'll leave the show in your capable hands.
Thank you very much, Graham. I really appreciate that intro. Boy, you're getting good at this. Hey, boy, there you go. All right, yeah, nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming out. And yeah, we've been doing the trilogy of the up and coming and great fighters of the Philippine Islands. Now, I think we're going to end this little trilogy about the Philippines this evening with probably the most decorated Filipino fighter, well, guaranteed the most decorated Filipino fighter in the history of the Philippines. And we're going to be talking about Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao. So Mr. Pacquiao is probably known as one of the best all-around fighters in the history of boxing. He has been an amazing, amazing addition to the boxing community since the day he started boxing. And we got a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about him today, Graham. And I was really excited to learn more about him, a little bit about his political career, how he really has helped out his country, the humanitarian that he really is. He puts his country before his career. So I got to give him a lot of credit. Mr. Pacquiao, Manny, thank you very much. That is so big of you, and you are such an inspiration to all of us. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and can't wait to see if you got a couple more fights under your sleeve. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little later. And so, guys, thanks a lot for coming out. Thanks again for the likes, the shares, the comments, and the subscriptions. If you like it, notify it, do the notification thing. But I think you're going to enjoy this Manny Pacquiao thing because I sure did. So, again, we're going to talk about a guy who's in the same league as this guy. The greatest of all time. Well, I would have to say Manny Pacquiao is in the same league. He's one of the greatest of all time. Absolutely, hands down. So his nickname is Pac-Man. We all remember the game, but that's his nickname. I've known him as Pac-Man since I remember watching him. I pretty much have been watching him since fight one. I've seen at least 30 to 40 of his fights, at least. And he never disappoints. He has everything in his arsenal when he fights. He has the biggest heart. He has the brains. He has the skill. He prepares himself amazingly for these fights. He's been trained by an individual named Freddie Roach for quite a while now. We did an episode on Freddie, and he's been known as one of the best trainers to ever to train the boxers and stuff. And he was a boxer himself, so that's been Manny's go-to trainer for the last 10 years or so. So let's just go over a little bit about him, his career, his amateur career, and yeah, oh yeah, and that'll we'll just move forward on that. So his full name, this is an interesting one. So it's Emmanuel Manny Depidran Pacquiao. All right, he was born December 17th, 1978. That makes him 42 years old in Kibawe, the Philippines. All right, Kibawe. He has 5 children, which is great. I understand all his kids are doing well. They're all fantastic. They're all. He's a great father. He's an all-around great guy. Really, he's like I say, he's in politics. He represents the people, and he's really, really dedicated to that. So it's very interesting that he's gone into that. So we'll get into that a little later. Now, as far as his career is concerned, he has fought in 8 weight divisions. So we'll go through them here. Maybe 9. I think it's 9. He started at light flyweight and super bantamweight, featherweight, super featherweight, welterweight, lightweight, and light middleweight, which is quite the stretch. So if you look at the poundage from a light featherweight up to a light middleweight, you're looking at a 50 to 60 pound difference since he started. I understand when he was about 16 years old, Graham, he was 98 pounds. He was 4'11" and 98 pounds. This is when he first wanted to turn pro. And unfortunately, at 98 pounds, there is no division. So he basically couldn't fight because he wasn't heavy enough. The least amount of weight you can be to fight in any professional fight is 105. So Manny did what any good guy would do. He just threw a bunch of weights in his pocket at the weigh-in. All of a sudden, he gained that 7 pounds. Now that is what I call dedication. To put real weights in your clothing to actually make weight is I've never heard of that. So that's a first, but to me that was really, really, really cool for him to do that and start off his career as young as he did. So we'll just talk quick. He's presently serving as a senator of the Philippines in a party. He's the party president of the party called the PDP, Party Laban Party, and they nicknamed the party Pac-Man Party. So he's been a senator for quite a number of years now. He's also been like he's got different committees that he deals with, like works departments, and like this guy is I think honestly he's trying to rebuild the Philippines by himself. I mean, at least putting as much of his money and time into doing it, which is the biggest, most coolest thing I've ever heard for a guy to take on something of such stature. So he's regarded, like we said, as one of the greatest boxers of all time, and he's the only, this was an interesting one, he is the only boxer ever to be an 8-division world champion. All right, 8-division world champion, winning 12 major titles. All right, those are major titles. So he's the only one ever. He is also the oldest man to win the welterweight title of the world. He was 40 years old. That was in 2019, and he became the oldest man to hold a welterweight title. So let's go over his amateur career a little bit here. He did have an amateur. A pretty good amateur career as far as fighting is concerned. He had 64 fights, of which he won 60 fights, and he lost 4 fights out of the 64. All right, so 60 out of 64, that's pretty good as an amateur. I mean, he was very young at that time, and it all basically started, I understand, when he was about 14 years old. He moved to Manila, and he literally was living on the streets for a time when he was 14 years old, and he started to box, and I guess it was something to give him something to do, and he made the Philippines national amateur boxing team. So he did that, and he made the national team. And at 16, like I said, that was when he did the weight thing when he was turning pro, and so then that's how it all started. Basically, he was just an underage, smaller guy who didn't have enough weight, Graham? So he did something he had to do to make it happen.
Did you happen to read that comment from one of our viewers about when he started out? It says it's true. The man, he started boxing to make money to eat because he came home one day as a kid to find out that his father killed and cooked the family dog to feed his family. So thanks, Chris Baxter, for that fact. I had no idea things were that bad for him when he started out. Tough guy, man. Tough guy.
Well, exactly. He was literally that's how it was. So, man, that's unbelievable to come from that kind of an environment, and then drive yourself to basically being almost, well, he's more famous than the president of the Philippines. You know what I'm saying? He's probably more famous than the president. So that's amazing. It really is. One thing I also wanted to mention, Graham, that I forgot is he served in the Philippines Army. I don't know if that's mandatory, but I probably is. And he ranked up as a senior military officer all the way to the rank of colonel, which is very impressive. That's a very high-ranking position in the military. So Congratulations, Manny. That's fantastic. Amazing stuff. Like everything else you're doing is unbelievable. So you've even served in the military. So that's awesome, right? So let's work a little bit into his pro totals here. His pro totals are he has 71 total fights. All right. Of the 71, he has 62 wins, 39 by KO, 7 losses, and 2 draws. So he does have a few losses, but I mean, it is what it is, right? He's always fighting the top guy in the world. He never. I checked out all those fights, and we're gonna go over his notable fights, and I just shaking my head about this. You know, it's unbelievable the guys that he's fought against and won titles against. These guys are at the ultimate of their game, which means Manny himself has to be better than that. And he's proven time and time and time and time and time and time again that that's what he can do, you know. And he's as we know, he's one of the toughest fighters out there. He's really tough. You know what I mean? Uh, any of the fights, you know, if he gets down, he gets tougher. He really he's got all the skill in the world, like everything. He's got punching power. He's got his body shots are amazing. His jab is amazing. He did have a time where his power sort of diminished, Graham. I remember, and that's when he brought in Freddie Roach. Actually, was to help him with his power punching. No reason why he brought Freddie in. I mean, as his trainer to help with his power punching, like his knockout power. And Freddie was able to do that. I remember watching the very first fight that Freddie Roach was his trainer, and the punching power you could see from the fights before that up until that one. He had power, but it was his left hand wasn't just as good as it is now. Like he's got power in both hands now, and he's very tenacious, very aggressive, and he's got all the skill. He's experienced like crazy. So he turned pro too, Graham, which was interesting. I forgot to mention, guys. The reason why he actually started boxing, Graham, was because of the death of one of his close friends, who was an aspiring young boxer, his friend, and that's why he started boxing, kind of like as a tribute to his friend, you know, right from the very beginning. So I thought that was really, really nice, and well, I'm sure your friend is looking out over you and thanking you every day, you know, your buddy there, and saying, "Wow, man, that's amazing." You know, you took it all the way, you became who you are, and you're still doing it. So his young buddy there is probably is really proud of him, right? Like we all are. So in July 2019, like I said, he became the oldest guy to hold the welterweight title, and he's recognized as the only 4-decade champion, having held titles in 1990s, 2000s, 2010, and 2020. So he's literally held titles in 4 decades, right? Yeah. So actually, I would think that we're just getting lots of comments here. This is great. Lots of stuff. I'm trying to pay attention here, and I can only do one thing at a time, guys. Hold on to yourselves. Right on. So yeah, his career has just been super fantastic. He literally is, like I say, one of the greatest of all time. And I checked out his titles, Graham. So we're going to go through actually the list of titles that he's won over his career. All right. So hold on to yourselves, because you'll probably never hear something like this again. It was unbelievable. So here we go, guys. All right. Manny Pacquiao has won the WBC flyweight title, 112 pounds. He won the IBF super bantamweight title, 122 pounds. The WBC super featherweight champion at 130 pounds. The WBC lightweight champion at 135 pounds. The 3-time WBO welterweight champion at 147 pounds. The WBC super welterweight champion at 154 pounds. The IBO lightweight welterweight champion at 140 pounds, the WBA welterweight champion at 147 pounds. So he had the 3 WBO welterweight championships and the 1 WBA that gives him the 4. Nobody's ever had 4 welterweight champions at different times. You know what I mean? He's also Ring Magazine's featherweight champion at 126 pounds. Ring Magazine's super featherweight champion at 130 pounds he was. And Ring Magazine's light welterweight champion at 140 pounds. So right there is just unbelievable. He's like, he's basically gone from 112 pounds to 154 pounds and won every title along the way, which really I've never heard of any. This is the only time in the history of boxing I think this has happened and going to happen because So going forward, some of the awards that he's got, Graham, too, which go along with the titles, which was very impressive. He was named Fighter of the Decade for the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Joe Frazier won it for the Fighter of the Decade in the 70s type of thing. So Ali, right? Those guys, it's a 10-year thing. So he won Fighter of the Decade, and that's given out by the WBO, WBC, HBO, and the Boxing Writers Association of America. Again, he was also 3-time Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year, 2006, 2008, 2009, and BoxRec ranks him as the 5th greatest boxer pound for pound of all time. And I mean, I could have been here for 15 minutes, honestly, guys, talking about all that kind of stuff, but you guys check it out. He's got so many other awards. It's unbelievable. It really is. And he deserves every one of them. No doubt about it. He was also named, which was really, really interesting. He was named as the greatest Asian boxer of all time. So there you go. He's the greatest Asian boxer of all time. Unbelievable. So he's always at the top of his game. He's done 25 pay-per-views, Graham. He's been 25 pay-per-views, all right? He's generated over 20 million pay-per-view buys in his career. 20 million buys. And he's generated $1.2 billion in revenue from those 25 pay-per-views. So people around the world, I know you guys all, like myself, I've been watching him all the time. We love him. He's amazing. The pay-per-views that he comes out with, he's always fighting the biggest, the toughest, anybody. He never ducks anybody. He's just an elite boxer at a level that is hard to attain, regardless. The other thing that really amazed me was when I checked out his notable fights, and I'm gonna go through a list, okay, of his notable fights over the years. And you guys have probably heard some of these names. I mean, I've heard them all, and I know exactly who they are. And when I realized that that's actually, and there's more and more, I probably wrote down 15 or 20, but the list goes on and on. So he never ducked anybody. So let's go through some of his notable fights. I'm not going to give dates today or anything. Just check them out on YouTube. Any of these fights, I've watched all of them basically. And they're amazing. Every single fight that I've ever watched him in, I look forward to it. I always look forward to seeing Manny Pacquiao fight. You're gonna be in for a great, great match, and he's always a gentleman and a scholar. So I just like him. I really do like him. So we're gonna go over these notable fights, and you can check out any one of them. Here comes the list. Get yourselves ready because this is a good one. All right, Eric Morales. He fought him 3 times. Marco Antonio Barrera, he fought him twice. Juan Manuel Marquez, Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, Antonio Margarito, Shane Mosley, Timothy Bradley, Floyd Mayweather, Adrian Broner, Jesse Vargas, and Keith Thurman. And that's just touching the iceberg. That list is crazy. Like, these are all world champion guys in their own right. So they're all world champions, all those guys. And he's beating them all. It's unbelievable. So I just like, wow, I always loved him. You just until you really look at it and look at it from a distance, you think, holy cow, man, this guy has really done more than I would expect out of any boxer. And he's still fighting, which is great. Love it. Awesome. So let's talk about his next little bit of fights coming up, Graham. There's like literally what's happening right now. There's some rumbling that he wants to fight twice in 2021. All right. The two guys that he's looking at fighting, the one fight is scheduled for May, and the other fight is scheduled for between September and November. He wants to fight, apparently he wants to fight Mikey Garcia in May. So that's who they're looking at having him fight. And then if that goes well, he's going to fight Terrence Crawford. Now, Terrence Crawford, we all know who he is. He's been really pumping Pacquiao to fight him and stuff. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to sign to fight Garcia in May, and then September, November, Terrence Crawford will be that fight. Now, the word on the street, I hear in the Philippines as well, guys. And if you guys hear anything about this, please let us know. But I've heard a little bit about it, that he's planning to retire at the end of this year. So these two fights could be his last two fights, Graham. Reason being, he's thinking president of the Philippines. All right. And the presidential campaign is for 2022. And I believe he's probably gonna become the president. Like I said, he's already more famous than the president. Might as well be the president. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. I mean, the thing about him too with this political career, he puts the political career before his boxing career, like I was saying a little bit before. So he only fights when say government is in what do they call it, Graham? Recession or something?
Recess.
Yeah, like when they're not obligated to be doing their governmental work, I guess. So he always puts that job itself ahead of his boxing career. So I guess that's why he can only really fight twice a year, you know what I mean, Graham, or whatever, because of his responsibilities as a senator and stuff like that. And there was some rumblings, like some of the other senators were kind of, he's using it, becoming a senator or something is trying to, he's trying to get fanfare out of it or something. Like, you got to be kidding me, right? They're just upset because they can't beat him in the election, I guess. So that's what they're saying, that he's going to run for the president of the Philippines. And I'm telling you, Neil the Deal says definitely, Manny, go for it. You deserve it. You should be the president. Absolutely, man. And if you got those two fights left in you, I'll be watching. I hope all you guys will be watching. Graham, will you be watching?
Absolutely. He's one of my favorites.
Oh, absolutely, man. And then I did hear a little tidbit about, this like Mike Tyson thing, right? Where Mike's doing his thing with all the guys. Did the Roy Jones Jr. thing.
His pillow fight league. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They were joking about, well, if he retires this year, that maybe he can call Mike Tyson up and maybe fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. on Mike Tyson's pillow fighting competition, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Mike fought great in that Roy Jones fight. Like, considering his age and, come on. I thought it was entertaining. I actually enjoyed it. I really did enjoy that. So, I don't know. It's just something that maybe keep him in the game. He's only 42. I mean, Tyson's now fighting Evander Holyfield, right? Tyson Holyfield 3 and the Mike Tyson thing. So if Manny decides to get involved in that, we'll all be watching that for sure. So thank you very much, Mr. Pacquiao, for your service, your humanitarian service to the world. Your career has been fantastic. We've all enjoyed it. We're looking forward to your scheduled 2 fights this year. We're hoping to see him. And, I hope somebody tells him, yeah, Neil the Deal out there in Toronto, Canada says, God bless you, buddy. We love you and we'll be watching out for you. Love to meet you someday. That would be definitely on the bucket list to say hi to him. And take care of yourselves, Manny, out there. All right. Well, guys, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight for our Philippine special on Manny Pacquiao. What a great fighter. What a great guy. And what a great episode. I had a great time with this one. I really had a good time. So what do you think, Graham? What are you thinking?
You did an awful lot of research and should be commended for that. And I thank you for that. Manny Pacquiao, as I said earlier, is one of my favorite fighters. He bridges that gap, quite frankly, between the old school Muhammad Ali crossover, when boxing kind of went into a little bit of a hiatus when the UFC came along. Manny really sparked that fervor once again for fans around the world to get excited once again about boxing, and he has led the charge and opened up this whole pantheon, quite frankly, for these young guys that we're seeing nowadays. Some who are a little bit more on the mouthy side, but you were absolutely right. Manny's a gentleman, a scholar, and has really set the bar high. He's a shining example of what a great boxer can be, should be, and always will be. Fantastic stuff, Neil. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. I'm sure all these listenership out there likes what you're saying too.
Thank you very much, Graham, for the kind words. And yeah, he's a big inspiration to the children around the world, us as adults as well. And I just got to tell you, in the whole boxing community, I think he's way up there, right at the top with some of the most decorated guys and deservedable decorated guys. And he's a very soft-spoken and very genuine individual, and that's why I really like him. So thanks a lot, Manny, again, for everything. Thanks a lot for having me out tonight, Graham. Thank you very much, Talkin' Fight fans, Neil the Deal Show fans. I really appreciate you guys checking me out tonight. Anybody out in the Philippines seeing this, we're saying hello from Toronto, Canada. God bless you out there. I hope everything's going well. And we'll talk to you guys around the world tomorrow night, Graham. 7 o'clock?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. We'll be here, and we'll be talking to you then. So have yourselves a safe, enjoyable, and warm evening. Take care.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Good listenership.